Hey there, welcome to my channel. My name is Ashley and I'm a six-figure reseller on Poshmark and eBay. And today I'll be going over everything about eBay shipping. So all the ins and outs, every little detail that I can think of, I'll go over in this video. I will say that looking at my notes, I was like, this looks kind of complicated, a lot of info, but I promise you, it really is pretty simple. eBay can seem like a beast, but once you continue to work with it and just get all the basic information down and those numbers down, it really just comes seamlessly. So the first thing I'm gonna be talking about is my specific breakdown of how I know how much to charge for my shipping. So I will also say that a couple of months ago, maybe even a year ago now, I don't remember, I did switch everything over to priority mail. So before I was shipping things first class if it was under £1. However, I went ahead and decided to increase my rates and charge everything for priority shipping. One, because my things are expensive and I can't risk letting them get lost. I don't want to. Two, it just gets to the buyer faster and they can see that they are getting the item faster, which everyone loves. And the last point, like I haven't really noticed any decrease ever since I started doing this in my sales due to shipping or anything like that. And honestly, it also has decreased my stress with it, because sometimes with a first class package, you're just like praying it shows up, and if it's one day late, you start freaking out, because if it doesn't get delivered, you are pretty much screwed with that and just have to pay out the buyer for the cost of the item, versus if it is priority, you have the chance of opening a claim with USPS and at least handling it with them, versus absolutely nothing with first class mail. So it has decreased my stress overall, and the buyer's paying for it at the end of the day, so it's not like it takes up any money in my bank account in order to ship at priority. So going over the rates that I have, it's dependent on the item. I'm gonna read it off here just because it can be a lot and sometimes it changes. I did give this over to my VA who cross-lists for me, so she goes ahead and puts it in based off the category, and that's another reason why I like having specific costs for the category, because it's really easy to send it to someone and say, put this as the cost for shipping, instead of trying to figure out weights or anything like that. And it's only a couple numbers. I think it's only 4 numbers. So for dresses and tops, so things that probably would have shipped first class before, I charge $9.50 for. For pants and jeans, so a little bit heavier, I charge $12.50 for. For larger dresses, sweaters, jackets, blazers, so pretty heavy stuff, but not the heaviest stuff, I charge $14.50. Shoes are $16.50, and heavy coats like parkas, like pretty heavy stuff, is $18.50. And so when I'm putting these numbers in the listing, I will go ahead and just put in and select the category for USPS priority mail. So no matter what I think I'm going to put it in terms of the box, I always select USPS priority mail and then put in that charge, that amount on the side of it, and make sure that you have that the buyer pays for it and not for you. I select the USPS priority mail for everything, because even if I were to ship it in a flat rate box or in a poly mailer or in just like a white USPS box, all that counts within that, so I don't have to worry about, you know, selecting padded flat rate when it's really not gonna be padded flat rate. The USPS priority mail selection really just encompasses everything that I'm probably going to ship it under if I were to change it, because that selection, what it does is it tells the buyer how fast they're going to receive the item. So if you have a handling day of 2 days and they're selecting priority mail, which let's say it's 3 days, then it'll estimate an arrival time based off of that. And if you were to click first class, that would make it a little bit longer, or express, it would be shorter. And putting in the different boxes, like if it was flat rate, probably wouldn't change that, but I'd rather just fit everything under that one simple category. And also, you may think that my shipping costs may be a little bit higher than some, but I do put it in there and have it a little bit more than what I'm probably expected to pay for it, for 3 reasons probably. The first is I do have discounted shipping because I'm a top rated seller, so that, you know, accounts for a little bit extra I will get. However, if for whatever reasons I were to drop that top rated status, then that would go up a little bit, so I have to account for that. Secondly, eBay percentage fees takes into account the total value, including your shipping. So you're technically not getting the full amount for your shipping. And the third reason is if for whatever reason the item I paid more than $100 for it, I will go ahead and put additional insurance on it just in case it gets lost, because priority mail covers up to $100 insured. So if it gets lost, they would pay you out $100 if you didn't have additional insurance on it. But if I paid more than $100 on it, I would hate to lose money off of that. So I do go ahead and pay for the additional insurance. However, I don't do it if I have paid for under, because honestly, it rarely happens that things get 100% lost, and that additional amount adds up over time. So if I did ever lose something that I paid under $100 for, I'd rather just recoup the $100 for it and move on with my life. For safety reasons and things like that, I do add a signature if the item that sold was over $500 or like $300. I kind of just use my discretion there. I used to do it for all items like over $100, $200. However, a couple of issues came up that way, especially if you haven't talked with the buyer about it. Sometimes they're out of town and they couldn't ever sign for it, or they're at work and they couldn't ever sign for it, so they could never get the item, and that doesn't always go over well. And also, if the item does say that it was delivered, eBay will side with you. And if they don't, I'd probably be really pissed, because as a buyer, I have experienced this where it says it was delivered, but I never received it, and eBay sided with the seller. And that happened twice, I believe. I swear my apartment has some issues with receiving mail a lot of times, where it'll say deliver and come like a week or a couple days later. And I've even had this happen with buyers, and I'll just let them know, hey, I've had this happen in the past. It's pretty common. Please just wait about a week before you open up anything. If not, let me know. I will go ahead and reach out to USPS about this. So that kind of goes into what to do if anything gets lost. And that is the first reason why it's so important to have a receipt of tracking for your item, to first prove that you did ship it out, because sometimes the tracking just doesn't start or anything like that. So having a receipt is an additional thing on your end to show that you did go ahead and ship it out. I personally just go ahead and email all my receipts to me, and then I have a folder within my email for all my postal tracking. So if I ever need to refer back, all I have to do is go back into my email versus have to hold a bunch of receipts physically and just have them get tangled up with every other thing that I have in my reselling business. However, unfortunately, some people will go ahead and just open up a case if they haven't received the item, and they will be able to win the case if the tracking has stopped with it. So at that point, like Poshmark, you do have to go to USPS and file a claim for a lost package. It asks you for a couple different pieces of information on there, and then they'll go ahead and approve your case or deny it. I will say that in my experience of opening up a claim, I have never won a claim. The first reason is because it said it was delivered to me, so I opened up a claim because I was on the receiving end of it, and it says it was delivered to me. I never got it, and so I lost that case. But then I ended up getting the package a couple days later, and the second was for a buyer that I opened up a case for, and then I don't think they didn't respond to it. I remember, I guess I lost that case, but then the buyer ended up getting the item. And luckily the buyer was like understanding and great, because they did end up letting me know that they received the item and ended up purchasing it for me again, because I did have to refund the buyer, because according to eBay and USPS, it lost tracking and it didn't say it was delivered. So that is one negative thing of eBay and the shipping. But however, if it does end up getting to the buyer, you can always go back to the tracking, and the tracking will say it's delivered. Sometimes I find that you'll send it off, get the receipt, and it'll just stop tracking, and then it'll only start tracking or kind of complete its tracking once it ends up at the buyer and is delivered. So I have never had to reach out to eBay saying they opened up this case and I had to refund them, but it is saying that they are delivered and bought the item now. So I don't know if they would end up giving you your money back. I would hope so, but just something to be aware of and kind of know those steps that you should take if that does occur. So going back now to the type of packaging that I use, the most common package I use is a padded flat rate. If it fits into there, then I pretty much will probably go ahead and use a padded flat rate. The only time that I won't use a padded flat rate, if it is under 1 pound and it is shipping to a state close and nearby me, because if it is under a pound and is going to a surrounding state from Texas, sometimes the shipping can be between like $7.25 and $8, and a padded flat rate is $8.20. So I save a couple cents by putting it just in a regular printed poly mailer, but still shipping it out priority mail. And that is why whenever I'm doing shipping, instead of just packaging my items up right away, I will go ahead and do it one by one. So I'll open up the eBay, select open the item that I'm going to send off, see where it's located. If it's close by me and it's showing that it's like $7, I will weigh it and send it off priority that way. But let's say it's in New Jersey or California, which even if it's under a pound, it would ship $8.34 if I didn't do a padded flat rate, which because a padded flat rate is 14 cents cheaper, I'll just go ahead and put it in the padded flat rate and buy the label that way. It is only a couple of cents, but a couple of cents here and there does add up over time. Other than that, my most common things I use are a printed poly mailer, like a larger one, a white USPS box, like the 15 by 12 by 3. I think that's like the 1092, but I'll have to look back into that. Or then for like shoes and stuff or anything super large, I will use usually a brown box, like any reusable box. I prefer to use those just because they end up being a lot cheaper than the flat rate boxes, but I will go ahead and use like a medium flat rate box for any heavy shoes or more expensive shoes, just because it looks a little bit nicer. I've heard sometimes when the USPS people see that priority mail, they are more likely to take it quicker or something like that. Don't know how true that is, but I will go ahead and use that versus just having some like ratty old different box that may be a little bit more beat up. And then I rarely use the large flat rate box. If it does have to fit into a large flat rate box, I'll probably go ahead and just use a brown box because that ends up being so expensive. I don't remember the last time I used a large flat rate box for eBay. I think the most I'll use is just the medium flat rate box, which is $13.84. Lastly, let's go over international shipping. International shipping, I am so thankful for being in America with international shipping on eBay because they make it so easy with their global shipping program. All you have to do when you are listing is make sure that when you go down to shipping, you select the global shipping program. And I'm pretty sure once you select it once, at least from my end, it is always automatically ended on. Of course, I always double check to make sure it's on, but it's automatically checked every single time that I'm going to do the listing. But if you have not ever had this on and need to update it to all of your listings, and you have a ton of listings, you can go ahead and go to the bulk editing system in their website and just go ahead and add on the global shipping from there. But it makes it so easy. You ship it the exact same way you would ship anything else on eBay. You never see the cost that the buyer is actually paying, which can be annoying because sometimes they'll ask you, how much would this cost for ship it to this country? And I always just say we ship using the global shipping program through eBay, so we don't see the cost. We just ship it domestically in states and then it gets sent out to you. Sometimes they don't understand that, but I just say that and move on. However, the only time that international shipping with the global shipping program gets a little bit fuzzy is when you have to deal with returns on there. eBay doesn't necessarily have a set and standard practice when it comes to returns from international buyers. So when we're talking about an item not as described, let's say, because that's the biggest thing that if you ever have that open for you, then you do have to honor that return. So if they don't take returns or have any other type of reasoning for it, you don't have to accept the return, of course. But if you do have that return open for you, usually when you have a domestic sale, you go ahead and just send the buyer a label through eBay and get that taken care of, and everything is just handled still through eBay tracking and their site. However, with the international sales and when you ship it that way, you cannot just buy a label off of eBay and then have them send it to you with that label. So it's a lot more finicky. And I've had this happen once, which was really annoying. And the buyer was not being great about it either. But in that instance, you would have to figure out buying a label for them to ship to you. And that isn't as easy as it sounds, because that means you have to buy a label for whatever country they're in to ship it back to you, because they don't have the USPS system there. So you'd have to figure out what system they have and buy it in a different currency. So it was really confusing. That was the biggest part why it was such a hassle dealing with this issue when I was working with this buyer. However, I did reach out to eBay to talk about this and try to figure it out, letting him know that I couldn't buy a label. I didn't really know how to do it. It wasn't working. I couldn't buy a label off of eBay. And I think I had talked to a couple of people, but eventually they just went ahead and closed out the case and let the buyer keep the item and refunded me. So it kind of works in your favor because they don't have a set system out there, that sometimes they will go ahead and just get that done. And honestly, if it were to ever happen again, I would just keep complaining to eBay and talking to them about how this isn't working until they were to let that happen out again. So if you ever find yourself in that situation, definitely something to try. I have told someone else about it and it worked for them as well. So I don't want that to be like a thing that they end up looking into and changing, but definitely helpful advice. So if you're watching this video because you are not on eBay and need to be getting over and trying to see how to navigate it in order to effectively get over there and be successful over there, I will say one of the best things that has helped me get all my stuff over to eBay and be consistent with it, even though now I have somebody else doing it for me in the same way, is by using List Perfectly. List Perfectly is one of the easiest ways to get all your listings over from Poshmark to eBay or whatever other platform that may be on, and also to make sure that you're getting any new listings that you're doing every single day over to eBay. Because I found one of the things that has helped me grow the most is by having my items that I just listed on Poshmark cross-listed over to eBay the same day or next day, so that I'm having new listings on eBay every single day. So if you want to get started with that, I do have a code for 30% off your first month. You can use code ReCloth when signing up in order to get that discount, or I'll also put a direct link in the description here for you to be able to go ahead and just get started with that. However, if you're looking for a free month of List Perfectly, either new user or existing user, you can enter the giveaway that I'll be doing on this video for the next week here in order to go ahead and be using List Perfectly for free for 1 month. So if you'd like to be involved in this giveaway, all you have to do is be subscribed to my YouTube channel, List Perfectly's YouTube channel, which I will also put in the description below, and comment below why List Perfectly would be so helpful for you. This giveaway will close June 7th at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I will announce the winner on June 8th as a post on my YouTube channel. But I hope you guys liked this video. I get so many questions about this, so hopefully that answered all the questions that you may have. If you have any additional questions, feel free to also leave them below in the comments. But don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of the videos I put out every single Wednesday. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.